What is going on, all of you ruffians out there in the world? I'm Mega Amster. Thank you for watching this review video, whether you are a new or returning viewer. I appreciate you stopping by, and today I'm talking about a little indie game that came out not even a month ago as of this upload, and that is a little game called Ruffy and the Riverside. This is from Zockrates Laboratories, who developed this, and it's kind of, at its core, it is a 3D platformer with a unique twist. The best way I can describe this is kind of, just like a 3D platformer, but the main gimmick of this game is the idea of you can copy and paste textures around the world, and so that's used for puzzle solving. It's really like a puzzle platformer in that way. So definitely a lot of emphasis on that and like that mechanic, and it leads to some unique and creative ideas. So before we get into it fully, I like to do with a lot of these reviews, I'll talk about light or no spoilers at the very beginning, and then I'll have a separate section with a timestamp for the spoilers to talk about this game. Not that there's a ton to spoil, but in case of certain story beats near the end or collectibles and stuff, and I'll go into some gameplay there. So let's start off with the light to no spoilers part of this review. So overall, I really enjoyed my time with this game. It's super duper creative. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of when I was playing The Plucky Squire last year, just in terms of how creative this game can get, especially because, like I said, the main mechanic is you're copying and pasting textures around the world, and, it's not unlimited. There are limitations to that. The game will tell you if you can or can't do something, but, you can completely change the environment to change how things look, and that will change the physical properties of that too, and it's actually really cool. But it leads to a lot of unique and creative ideas, which makes it really, really fun. At its core, it is a 3D platformer, and as someone who loves 3D platformers, it feels great, and it has a lot of different mini games as well, like you saw that mini game right there, and it controls well. It feels good to play. There's a run button, which makes it easy to get around, and you have like basic 1-2 punch and like a stomp to attack. There is some combat. I will say it's pretty light. For some of the boss fights, you use it more, but really the main focus is on the puzzle platforming here with the texture swap ability here. The visual is, if you can tell, like, this game looks very visually unique. It almost has that like Paper Mario look. It's very 2D on a 3D kind of plane look to it. Shout out to Grand Soren, one of my viewers on the channel. Apparently he said it was like inspired by some like German comic book, I think it was, some German comic art style. Definitely let me know if you know what that is in the comments below. I don't know exactly. So definitely double check me on that. But it looks really cool. It's very visually striking, very colorful. The different characters are fun. Ruffy himself is a cute design. Kind of gives me slight Banjo vibes. And you have different characters like the moles, like there are birds, there are fish, all sorts of people. And so you kind of meet them as you go around, and there are a lot of NPCs you can talk to. But yeah, it's super colorful. So I played this on the Switch too. There were a few moments where it stuttered a little bit, especially when like loading new areas without loading screens. That definitely happened a lot. There are loading screens for like between major areas. You kind of have this one big overworld with separate areas that load into each other and no stutter. But then you have separate areas where it'll bring you to a separate loading screen and load a separate part of the world, and that's totally fine. I kind of wish they did more loading screens to kind of hide that kind of stutter a little bit, but it's really not that bad on the Switch 2. I hear the Switch 2 doesn't run this game any better than the Switch 1, which, I guess probably makes sense as this game just came out and kind of targets, I guess, both platforms, but especially the Switch 1. So, if you only have a Switch 1, you wanted to play this. I've heard it's not any different. So, and like I said, it runs great still. But yeah, there are different puzzles, different sorts of collectibles you can get. So like there are these butterflies you can collect and kind of identify with one of the people in town. There are gems you can collect. There's like a few total in the game you can get. And there's different objectives that different NPCs will give you to do that you can do. There's also, what are they called? There's another collectible that's escaping me. There are coins you can collect for currency. There are certain things you can buy in the game, especially when it comes to like costume and ability upgrades, or like stamina wheel and health upgrades. What collectible am I missing? Why can't I think of it? Oh, there are dream stones in the game that you can collect, and there are these fun little like puzzles you can do, like these patterns you have to solve, and you can get different dream stones that way. And they're almost all optional, especially for the, if you're a fan of 3D platformers, you kind of know the spiel there, where none of them are actually required to progress. As far as I'm aware, I can't think of any that are. But like they are just fun little side challenges that if you see them around the world, you can explore and go through there. I will say, like when I first played this game, I just wanted to explore, because the game kind of drops you in, gives you a little bit of exposition, and then you just go into it. And like I just explored the main world. I'm for the life of me. Oh, Riverside is the main world that you're in, and they just give you like freedom to go. You don't even have to do the story for a while. And that's what I did. Like the first like couple hours, all I did was just comb the overworld that I had access to. Because you slowly unlock access to more separate worlds over time, but the big overworld you have a lot of access to, and I just went around, explored what I could, what I thought I could do, and there were some things that I came back to later when I figured out what I could do there. But like the game gives you that freedom, which is great. So for me, it was a ton of collectibles at first, and then really going on with the story. And speaking of the story, it's nothing to write home about, right? This is a 3D platformer, so I wouldn't expect anything too crazy. The general gist is that this evil being known as Groll, he's like this big cube, if you've seen in the trailer here. He comes back, he's accidentally revived by you and your friends, and he's terrorizing the world, and he's like kind of sucking the energy out of the world, and you have to go around and stop him. And he destroys what are considered the letters. It's kind of like the Hollywood sign that you might have seen earlier in the trailer. He destroys that, and that is like the life force of Riverside. And you have to go back, find all the sacred letters, as they call them, and restore Riverside and stop Groll. And so, it's nothing to write home about. I will say, and I'm going to talk about this in the spoiler section, the ending was very weird, and I'll get into it more so. I don't know if I'd say bad, but it was definitely like weird for a video game ending. Like I said, no spoilers here, but I'll get into that later. But yeah, like the core gameplay, like there's not too much more to say here. Like the core gameplay is really, really fun. I mean, I love 3D platformers, and there's plenty of collectibles to find around here. It's not a long game. This game took me, I ended up 100% completing it, and it took me maybe 6-7 hours, if that. Like, it's really not a long game, and it's like, what, $20 I think, regular price. So, if it's something you're into, I would definitely give it a shot. Really looks really, really good. The core gameplay is solid. Especially if you like kind of puzzle challenges in your platformers. Not everything is a puzzle. Like, this isn't just a platformer collectathon. There are puzzles that you have to do in order to get those collectibles, and some that you actually have to think through with the swap mechanic, which itself is really cool. Like, for example, here you use the vines you copied onto a waterfall, and you can then climb the waterfall and use it to get a higher. So there's a lot of creative ways to do it. It's not a difficult game. I did have to use a guide. Once I beat the main story, there were a few collectibles that I missed that I was trying to get. And I used a guide to kind of find those, but it wasn't too many of them. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a really, really clever, unique game. I really like what's on display here. Like I said, it reminded me of when I played Plucky Squire last year. And similar to that, I feel like there's a little bit of a lack of polish when it comes to certain stuff. A couple little glitches here and there. I actually did a sequence break at some point early on in the game. If you were there for my stream I did of the game, you might have seen me do that. But it didn't like fully break. There were moments where I had to leave an area and come back for it to like refresh and actually load what I needed to do, so that was a bit annoying. And certain little things with like the translation and like dialogue and stuff, it's like a little iffy, but it's not that bad. Like literally just a few different moments I noticed throughout the game. Overall, it is a quality time. It does not overstay its welcome. It looks really good. It feels really good to play. And, the texture swapping mechanic is really, really neat. There's a lot of cool things they do with it. The story wasn't amazing. That's probably the lowest point of the game, I would say, in my opinion, is the story. But then again, it's like these platformer collectathon puzzle games, like the story isn't anything to write home about usually. It's not the main focus. And, it doesn't need to be, right? Like, they do a really good job with the gameplay mechanic they establish here. I'm kind of surprised a game like this hasn't happened before. Definitely let me know in the comments below if you know of another game that kind of does that texture swap mechanic. But I really liked it overall. I really liked my time with it. I would definitely recommend it if you are a fan of 3D platformer puzzle gameplay. And it's not hard to learn the texture swapping mechanic. You learn it pretty quickly, and there's a lot of little things in the game, but a lot of personality and charm that go a long way. If you don't mind a little bit of a lack of polish, and like if you're playing on Switch, like definitely a few performance hiccups and a story that isn't anything to write home about. If you can tolerate all those, which tolerate is a strong word, it's really does not get in the way of this game at all, at least in my opinion. And I think you're gonna have a really good, solid, short time, and like it really respected my time, and I really enjoyed what I was able to play the game. But that's gonna do it here. Not a ton to say, but it's not a very complicated game, It's very simple on its premise, and it really does what it sets out to do really, really well with the texture swapping gimmick and just being a fun 3D platformer puzzle game. But with that, that's going to do it for the light to no spoilers section of this review. So I am going to go a little bit into spoilers, actually, with some gameplay here. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to click away if you do not want to be spoiled at all in this game. I'm going to go into more details about the ending of the story, and just the story itself, and some of the collectibles and stuff like that, and show off some gameplay. So I'll give you a few seconds to click away if you do not want to be spoiled. I forgot to mention the music of this game. The music in this game is very creative, as you can probably hear here. And I don't know, it's very unique. I've never heard anything like it before. But anyways, let's get that gameplay up. There we go. Yeah, so I ended up 100%ing this game. Like I said in the light to no spoilers part, I did have to look up a guide for just a few little things. Like, for example, knowing that this mushroom had to be copied and pasted and all the little mushrooms around it. There's like 4 or 5 of those puzzles around the world, and I did not realize that was a puzzle until I looked it up. But yeah, I love how this game feels and looks when you like attack and like do jumps. Forgot about the glide jump to mention that with your friend Pip here, the bee. But yeah, I ended up getting everything, as you can see here. All the collectibles, got all the, identified all the butterflies, got all the gems, the e-toy, the pattern potatoes, which honestly, I think the pattern potatoes were my favorite, like, puzzle, like, recurring puzzle to do in the game, because it not only involved getting collectibles, but also, like, a bit of a puzzle to find the pattern and then copy that onto the potato. The fact that they're potatoes is really funny, but I found it really, really creative there. Yeah, and then all the different little objectives and everything, the dream stones, I got all those. And yeah, it ended up being the story. So the story, let's talk about that, right? The whole idea of the ending being that Sir Edler was portraying Grohl the whole time. He was like a fake Grohl, and he was like trying to train Ruffy. I don't know, it just, to me, it felt a bit anticlimactic in that way. Like, it didn't really feel like worth the payoff. Grohl itself also is just kind of a weird, like, I don't want to say generic concept for a villain, but not very inspired. Like I said, story isn't anything to write home about. It doesn't need to be the focus at all. But like, I don't know. I found that to be a little uninspired. And the whole idea of, yeah, it being Edler that was Grohl the whole time. I'm like, I don't know. It's a weird idea. The way they play it off is like, oh, because, you know, Grohl's evil, and like Edler's like stealing stuff and destroying the world. And it's just like, oh, I was faking it the whole time. I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, we forgive you, Edler. No, you destroyed the world. Like, what are we doing here? I don't know. That was a little weird. And then the idea of it being like, at first I thought I was going to do a fake out, because it was like the section where you go to the, what was it called? The Cove of Colors or something like that. And Edler was like, bro, I wasn't there. And they're like, oh, wait a minute. Was that the real Grohl? We have to tell Ruffy. And then the game ends. Like, I was kind of hoping I'd get all the collectibles, and then I do that, and then it like ends up being like a fake out ending, like a bad ending. Then if you get all the collectibles, you get the actual ending where you have to fight the real Grohl one more time or something. The Grohl boss fight at the end, the final boss, was pretty solid, I thought. I thought they did a pretty good job. The other one that in the Cove of Colors or whatever it's called, it was eh. There's not a lot of boss fights in this game. They're kind of okay. There's one where you fight the turtle and everything. That one was solid as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's just the ending. It's weird because, like I said, it shouldn't matter, but it bothered me just because of how anticlimactic and kind of messy it felt. I don't know. It felt like they were either trying to be different for the sake of being different, or they didn't have enough time to flesh out a final ending. And just, I don't know. But it was weird they had Edler be like the fake Grohl. I'm like, why? Like, Edler destroyed the world, and we're just gonna forgive him? Like, okay. Oh, because I wanted the dark gem or whatever. I'm like, okay. It was a little weird. Yoo-hoo! It was a little strange in that regard. But that aside, that was my biggest complaint with the game. The performance isn't, I mean, you saw the pop in it earlier and then maybe some frame stutters. I really do think it's very good on the Switch, and I think this is a perfect game to play on the Switch. But it's also pretty much on everything else. I wonder if the mod community is going to be anything crazy on PC, though. But it's just a really fun vibe. You know, the NPCs are fun, they're cute, it's just the art style looks very unique. I love when, especially indie games, have these super unique art styles. It really makes them stand out. Not everything needs to be like photorealistic, you know? The puzzles themselves are really solid. There were a few mini games like the racing one here that took me a few tries to get, but the game itself is generally pretty easy. There were a few puzzle challenges. This one too kind of threw me for a loop for a bit. But the game itself is pretty easy. It's not a very difficult game, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's a really fun game, and it's not a high entry point at all. Like I said, I believe it's $20 US, regular price. So, if you're at all interested. I'm trying to see if it says gameplay time here. Here's the map, all the different sub areas you can go to. In terms of those, I think my favorite was probably the pyramid. The haunted grove, I think it was called, was also really cool. Yeah, just a lot of fun little areas to go and explore. The map itself is okay. I wish they marked. It'd be nice if they marked where collectibles were, but obviously they weren't going to do that. But you know, it's very colorful. It's animated. That's really fun. The icons look cool. I don't know. Like this game has so much personality and charm. Like the story being weird at the end really doesn't matter in the long run. Like it's really charming. Most of the writing's really charming and fun. Definitely has some of that rare energy from like Banjo-Kazooie days if you're into that. Yeah, and it's just really fun to play, and there's a lot of satisfying puzzles and not too many. It doesn't overstay its welcome. So I really would recommend this if you're looking for a 3D platformer puzzle kind of challenge game to experiment with. I really did enjoy it a lot. And like the texture swapping itself, really cool idea. Obviously limited, but you know, they'll tell you what will work and what not. They won't try. If something's not going to work for copy and paste, they won't even show you. But it's a really cool that it is a thing. And like there's a lot of stuff you can do. You can change the colors on a lot of stuff. And actually there is a little painter thing here that's like a texture painter, which I did not experiment with at all. But that's a cool option there if you kind of want to paint the world to whatever you want. That's a really neat little thing. And of course, some of that is actually used for puzzle solving. Not the texture painter, but like just the idea of swapping colors is used for a lot of those puzzle challenges in the game. And it's just a fun, colorful overworld. So, like I said, I would really recommend it. You know, if you're into this sort of game, I really did enjoy my time with it. I am going to switch back over to the main gameplay now as I wrap up the review here, just so in case people didn't want to get spoiled on stuff, they wouldn't be hit by that. But yeah, I mean, overall, like, really fun time. Really enjoyed what I got to play of this game. It's pretty cheap. It's a pretty cheap entry, and it's not very long. And, you know, it's another indie game to support. And, like, I had heard about this one. I debated about getting it. And then I was like, you know what? I want another game to play on my Switch 2 when I go on vacation, which was at the end of June. And I really liked it. You know, and it's getting actually pretty solid reviews online. So, listen, if you're a 3D platformer puzzle fan, like, I almost want to say this is a must-play. It's really charming, really creative. The story, don't expect the story to be anything crazy. It actually has a couple qualms with it. Performance and like is okay. There's a tiny bit of a lack of polish. Could have used maybe another month or two to like really iron things out. But overall, like this was such a fun time. I felt great playing this. Like this might be one of my favorite new games I've played at this point this year, which is weird to say, but like I really did enjoy my short little time with this game. But anyways, everybody, that is my review for Ruffy and the Riverside. So thank you so much for watching. If you did, let me know in the comments below. Have you checked this game out? Have you not? And now you're interested? You know, what do you think about the genre overall? Definitely let me know your thoughts. But with that, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you all on the next video or live stream. And until then, stay fresh. Don't copy and paste too many things. Copy and paste can lead to some bad things. Anyways, see you later.